We'll go back to the Google documentation. We are done up to this part. We have uploaded our the APNS certificate. Now we want to initialize Firebase, and it is actually really easy. All you need is to import the framework, the Firebase framework, and make one function call. That's all you need to initialize Firebase. So let's add these two lines. In our project, we'll go to the app delegate is where we will do it. You import Firebase, and here the function call that we need is Firebase app.configure. That's all we need. Now, what we can do is, let's see if that connection thing works. Go to the tab where we were up to this point. Where we downloaded this plist, and now you say next. This part we have already done. The same instructions as we followed are here as well. And safely click next. And this part also we have done. We have imported Firebase and called the configure. So now when we say next, it is going to check, right? So leave this open. Now we'll go and run our app. And hopefully it will establish a connection and you will see that that your app is communicating with Firebase. So let's run this in the emulator.
My code, it's keeps saying no such module as Firebase. For
And
some reason, I can't find Firebase.
you have imported, oh, it's complaining at the import.
Yes.
You have the pods here
Yeah.
and Firebase as well in the pods.
No, I don't know why.
Okay, close the quit Xcode and go back to the XC workspace, double click it again. Maybe it just needs to be reloaded. And this thing is not immediate. Your app may load and start running here, but sometimes it takes a while for this page to refresh and say, okay, everything is all right, you're connected.
Yeah, now I can see it. So I have two pods files. So one is the outside pods and ones are inside the push notifications. Yeah, just like yours. So you have one pod
Yes.
inside and the one outside. So yeah.
This is probably just some configuration of which pods are being used.
Yeah, so I have the pods and I can see the Firebase. And,
So now your import Firebase statement should be okay.
let me
If
see.
it is still complaining, ignore it and just run it and see what happens.
No, I can do it now.
You can? Okay.
Firebase. Yeah.
And once you run it and this, when it has, whatever, however it checks for the successful, the success of the communication, when it is done that, it will give you this green box saying you have added Firebase to your app. So anybody else see this yet?
For me, I didn't see anything like that. I just see a message saying you are ready to start building with Firebase, and it just gives me a message like that.
Yeah, yes, it's random. The other day on Monday with Android, I didn't see this at all. I had no option to run to verify. It just says exactly what you're saying. So hopefully it is registered.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I didn't see that. It just directly say continue to console.
Yeah, no worries. So we'll continue to console and we'll see this. Says here waiting for analytics data. Never mind. So let's carry on. Now what we need, the next thing is, so far what we have done is we have on the Apple developer website, we created an app ID. A more recent, more modern option they suggest is to download a push notifications key and then use it in all the apps. But since that account is a team account and we're all trying to do, develop a different app with different specs, etc. So we followed the other method where you generate a certificate for the app. So we did that, and that involved, creating a certificate request and then downloading and uploading to the Firebase console. And we also set up the Firebase project, added the app to it, and added all the Firebase related functionality using CocoaPods to our app. And right now we are at a point where we can run the app. It has Firebase built into it. And this is something, just so you know, that CocoaPods is a very popular way of using external, frameworks. A lot of the times, if you're looking for some functionality, you may find the code on GitHub, and the first thing it will say is, we recommend using CocoaPods, and they will have the same instructions as this. Add this, so such and such line to your pod file and say pod install, and you're done. It's actually very convenient. You can always do all those things manually also. Like I'm sure Firebase, if you don't want to use CocoaPods, you can like see there is a link. However, if you would rather not use CocoaPods, you can integrate the SDK frameworks directly. So if you go, for some reason you cannot use CocoaPods, then this is the workflow you will follow. You will download the Firebase SDK 1 GB file, and you will drag and drop. You will drag and drop the frameworks because you're not using CocoaPods. You won't have this. You will still be using your Xcode project, and then you can drag and drop whatever you need and do some additional setup. These two steps you want to follow. That is another way of doing it. What we did was the easier way. Any questions so far, guys? Okay.
My app, it keeps saying checking for app, and then I just skipped a step. So I don't know if it's gonna work, but some reason it's just checking if the app has communicated with our servers, and the key break.
I think it will be fine, Shahrukh, because both Harry and Hamza didn't even get that option.
Yeah, I don't know. It was same with Android as well. It kept saying that checking and nothing
Did,
happened.
did you try uninstalling and reinstalling?
Yeah.
You tried that. Okay. It's okay. We'll find out what is going on. We can always check here in your debug area when you run your app, you will see some output. And
Yeah,
one
I
of the lines is analytics collection enabled. So somehow we'll get an indication here. Don't worry about it. We'll find out what is going on. Okay. So we need to, when we are using this functionality on iOS, we need to ask the app, to convey to the operating system that it wants to receive notifications. So these are the lines it needs. Register for remote notifications as shown, right? So this is what we will add. If you have this page open, you can copy the code. And all it is doing here is it is checking, first it checks the iOS version. If it is iOS 10 display notification 10 and above, I suppose, it is going to use this part. Otherwise, it does this. So copy this code and we'll put it in our app delegate. So we can app delegate, I already have it open. I'm just going to create a function, register for notifications, and paste that code here. And we'll get a bunch of errors. We'll deal with it now. So first is this application, right? Type of expression ambiguous without more context. So it does not know what this application is. If you look at your did finish launching, it receives the application as an argument. And this is where we'll call this register for notifications. So let's receive it here as an argument. So add one argument here, and I have put it with an underscore, which means I can call it without having to specify an argument label. That will take care of these two errors, application. What about this third one? What do we do with this?
Delegate fire to handle Firebase notifications.
Yes. Add missing conformance to UN user notification center delegate. This is what we did when we worked with local notifications. We had to add a delegate. So we will just say fix, and it should take care of it. It added this. So now this class implements this protocol, so it can behave like a notification center delegate. And all that remains is for us is to call this function when the app fires up. So register, and here we just want application. So you see here we didn't have to specify an argument label like we have here. That's because we gave an underscore here which says omit argument label when calling this function. All right, so this is going to register us to receive remote notification, but this still has nothing to do with Firebase. This is just locally. You're telling the operating system that this app will receive notifications. Let's see what is our next step. So here there is a note also in red saying for devices running iOS 10 and above, you must assign this delegate property and FIR messaging's delegate property. For example, in an iOS app, assign it to in did finish launching. This is where actually will finish launching or did finish launching. We did it in the did finish launching. What we want to do now is we want to initialize the Firebase messaging itself, assign the delegate. So this is what we will do. We'll assign the Firebase messaging delegate. to be able to do that, when we add this line, it will actually complain automatically. Let's go back to our Xcode and we'll add this messaging.delegate equal to self. So let's do it here. Messaging dot, right? We'll leave it at that, and it should give us a complaint cannot assign value of type app delegate to type messaging delegate. So again, the same thing, you just say fix. So what you're saying is that this app delegate will behave at times like a notification center delegate, at times like messaging center delegate, whatever we choose. So now this should go away. It did go away. So this way, what has happened now is that we have assigned this app delegate class to receive notifications, or I shouldn't say notifications, it will be confusing, to receive callbacks from this messaging center, which is the Firebase messaging. So what would be the callbacks? There would be things like, okay, we have established communication, or we received a message, all those things. So what we want to do now is we want to, in one of those callbacks, it will tell us what the Firebase messaging ID for this current instance, this current installation of this app is on whichever device you have installed it on. So that's our next step. So we set the delegate to self. Now what we'll do is we'll retrieve the instance ID. The token. So this is where, and we need to okay, let's call this function. You can retrieve the token directly using instance ID with handler. This callback provides an instance ID result which contains the token. So we'll call this function now. And what this will do is, it is going to, this is a Firebase class. It is going to fetch an instance ID, and this stays the same unless you uninstall and reinstall the app, or very rare cases it may get changed. And that's what they're talking about here. Monitor token refresh. So to be notified whenever the token is updated, supply a delegate confirming. So this is useful if you have, for example, got an external database in which you store, like we talked about, user ID and token combinations. And later you want to send a targeted push notification to a particular user, you need to update that whenever the user's token changes. So this method also we will need. It's actually really simple. Let's add this first. Let's copy this code. And this is a method we are overwriting as a part of that delegate we just added. This messaging delegate, it is from that. So whenever the token changes, it is going to call this method, and it is actually going to print Firebase registration token is this. This in itself is enough. If you run your app now, if you keep an eye on your debug output, you should see this message, Firebase registration token. That's one possibility, that you will see that message, or you will see this message, which I am seeing here. It called a different one. Did fail to register for remote notifications with error. Remote notifications are not supported in the simulator. That's why we started off saying you need an actual device. So at this point, how do we proceed? You guys have your devices, right? And Harry, do you have a cable now to connect your iPhone to your laptop?
No, I still don't have it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I still waiting for my phone.
Okay. Okay. So Hamza, how about you? You're able to connect your device?
Yeah, yes, I can.
Okay. So what you want to do is you connect and just bear with me a second. Let me get my device and I'll show you the rest. I'll be right back, okay? All right. So I have an iPad here that I'm going to connect to my laptop and we'll see what happens next. I also have, the iPad connector is USB and this Mac I have is USB-C. So I had to get an adapter which arrived only yesterday. So let's see what it does now. I've connected when you connect your device for the first,
Signing capabilities, I can create a provision profile. So if you go to your notification and under signing capabilities, it has to connect with that. For some reason, it says like I logged in with my Georgian College account, and it gives me. If you can go to the settings, you will see, and for some reason that it says. For one of them, it says permission error. For the other one, it just says fail to register bundle identifier.
so we'll look at it, Shahrukh. So once the device is connected, it will show up here. And oh, iPad version lower than deployment target. So you're talking about here, right? Signing and capabilities.
Yes, so see, you said signing requires development team. So I selected the development team, but still, so we'll
What do you
have.
guys see here?
So which one? So I see, yeah, I see three of them. So my other personal one and the Georgian one and the Georgian college one.
Okay. And how about Harry and Hamza? Do you see anything here right now?
You have to sign in.
I have my personal one. I think I have to add the Georgian one.
Yeah, add an account and then you'll see it.
Okay. So the personal one you have, it does not allow you. I mean, is it a paid account or not?
No, it is not a paid account.
Okay. So that way, I don't think it will allow this what we are trying to do that requires a paid account. So you have to do add an account and sign in with the ID, the Georgian one.
Yeah, I'm trying that now.
Hmm. And I'm going to do something here. You guys don't need to do that. I have an older iOS version. I'm just going to change the deployment target. Probably won't work unless it is okay with that.
So can you now try the sign-in one at yours? So if you change college, status change.
I'm going to try this personal theme first. Let's try the college team. Okay, it worked, Shahrukh.
So it doesn't work for me when I click Georgian College. It says permission failure. Your account does not have permission to create Apple development certificates.
Yeah, me too.
Same for me as well.
Your account does not have permissions to create Apple developer certificates.
Yes.
And in the Georgian College one. So in the personal, I got an error. That's fine.
Yeah, personal, I gotta get an error as well.
Okay. Certificates. Do I have a certificate here? I do. Okay, what was the error? Can you please repeat the wording? Your
It says
account.
permission failure. Your account does not have permission to create Apple development certificates.
Okay. This is what you're seeing, right? Something like this.
No, it's not the distribution certificate. It says Apple development certificate. I don't know if it's the same thing.
Oh yeah, iOS distribution. Might be. Let's see what the solution is. People tab. Wow, this is convoluted. Initially as a member, but was not able to create certificates, even after giving him admin access. So they're saying that your access needs to be revoked and then
You need to
given
send
again.
an invite.
Yeah. Go into Xcode and remove develop, add it back in. Okay. So it is possible. Here it is saying that go into Xcode and remove developer account information, add it back in. This all of these things are really painful actually, as you will see if you start working with this, lots of threads on Stack Overflow, etc. So this guy suggested something in 2017, somebody comments in 2018 this is needed, 2019 somebody says okay this one doesn't work but this one still works. So it is really uh, cumbersome. What we want to get to is this. So one thing you can try is just remove the account from Xcode
Okay, so I removed it, and
Yeah, in
close
Xcode
the Xcode and then open again. Put Xcode.
Okay. When you add it, do you have this manage certificates button?
Yeah,
Do you guys see that manage certificates?
yeah. Give me a sec. So I'm adding again right now. I'll enter my password. Yeah, so I can see that. So when I click manage certificate, I don't see any signing certificates. It gives me option I can add certificates. If I go to manage certificate, I don't see anything.
How about download manual profiles?
Yeah, I can see download, but I can see both of these buttons.
Click on the download manual profiles.
Okay, I did. It said downloaded something. I don't know where.
Yeah, that it just shows like an indicator and it goes away. And
Yeah,
now if you do manage certificates, does anything change?
no.
Okay, let's see if
So if I click plus, wait, it actually added.
you have here. These certificates are there.
Give me a second. Try this.
Devices.
Okay, now it works. So what we have to do is go to manage certificate, and there's option to add. If you click plus, it adds a certificate.
Okay,
Now and then it connects it, and then it says like it will. So if you go to manage certificates,
so these are the steps, Shahrukh, right? And you can follow Harry and Hamza. You will open from Xcode preferences.
yeah,
You will come to these accounts and then manage certificates.
yeah, and then the
Oh,
plus
yeah, there
button,
is plus, right?
and you press this iOS development team, it will add a certificate. So look, you added one on 17, and so mine is just added
Yes, yes.
right
So I
now.
did this step. I just did not remember it.
Yeah,
You need to add a certificate.
and when you then go back to like Georgian College, it connects it.
Okay, good. So far, so good. What we want to do is from once you have this set up, here it says in gray text, add capabilities by clicking the plus button above. So we want to activate push notifications. That's our next task. We'll hit this plus capability and choose push notifications. So, how are you making out, Harry, Hamza?
I have created the account and it seems it's working fine.
Okay,
I just missed what we are doing here.
right. So this part here, you have it identical to this. You've got your team selected and you have it says signing certificate.
Yes,
No errors, right?
no
Harry,
errors.
up to this point?
Uh, For me, it's still same permission file. I don't know why.
And you chose the team account.
Yes, the team account. I follow step to add the
You've done this part, manage certificates, add a
yes,
certificate. Okay.
yes, and click the add. I don't know why.
Can you share your screen, please?
Yeah, sure. Oh, okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a one we need.
Yeah. You have a certificate there in manage certificate.
Yeah, I just added.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Get done.
So if I close that,
Now try again.
Change
Try.
it to none. Change it to none first, Harry. Yeah. Try again.
doesn't work.
Your account does not have permission to
Actually,
create.
close the Xcode and open again. Maybe try that. Quit Xcode.
Yeah. Let me open again. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's working.
Xcode has many quirks.
So stupid.
You'll find this many times. It gives, syntax errors in the code, and when you compile, it compiles.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to where we were. So at this point now, you should see this button capability plus capability.
Mm-hmm.
So click that button and in this list, choose push notifications. Without this, your app does not have the ability to receive push notifications. So double click it, and it will appear here.
Yeah. So my app runs and I can see the notification token, registration token.
When you run it on the device.
Yes.
Yes. So that's the next thing you will want to do, Harry. You will not be able to do it in mine. I'm not sure if it will work either, but we will see. Hamza, you should be able to select your device. And when you run your app, in the debug area, you should see the registration token that we are outputting.
When I run it, ask for a password.
A password.
Yeah, it
Where?
says co-design wants to
Yeah.
access the.
Just you have to add your password and say always allow. And once it goes through that step, then it will
Oh,
add.
perfect. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's just for verification when you try to add push notification.
Also, it may also be because it's a development app. It has not gone through all the checks that Apple makes when you put apps on the App Store. So there is like, that kind of a message. Are you sure? Okay, mine, I cannot show you the output because my iPad right now has a lower version than it needs. You see a bunch of errors. Only available in iOS 13, and it's mostly got to do with scene.
Yeah.
So if I had created this app with a storyboard, I would still be able to run it. So maybe I should have done that so that I can actually show you guys. Okay, I'm going to do that later on and see how that comes along. But so far, both of you, Hamza and Shahrukh, you should see in your debug message what the ID is.
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. Now what we want to do is
Yeah, I don't see it. It just says like yeah, my phone is not connected, but it is connected, and I can see select the phone as well. I think let's move on. So no worries.
You can select the phone from here.
Yeah, I can select, and when I run, it says the phone is not connected.
Look at your phone. Is it asking you for permissions?
No, even the phone is unlocked.
So
Oh,
that, yeah, it just happens with Xcode. It keeps saying trying to connect with your phone or phone not connected, right? And then it connects automatically.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Sometimes like usually you have to quit the Xcode and open again.
yeah.
It depends. If you're connected wirelessly, then you need to see the a logo, like there's a world logo that comes at the end of the simulator device. So if you see that logo, that means it's connected.
And
And if
Hamza, you might want to try also unplug and replug the phone.
Yeah, I just restarted Xcode and I've unplugged. Yeah, I'll try that.
Mhm. So let's move forward in the meantime. In our project now, we are at a point where we have set up. Now we can do a send a notification message, a test notification. So the way you will do it is go to your Firebase console and in this sidebar, scroll to the bottom until you see something called cloud messaging. And you click on the cloud messaging, and there is a button here which says send your first message. Click on that and type your message, whatever it is you want to send. These are the things you can also include. So this is the type of message, that display message we talked about. It takes a title, a text, an image, and a name. But these two things are optional. Title and text are not. Once you have done this much, you will say send text message, and then it will ask you for an FCM registration token. This is where you will paste that token that you see in the debug area and say test, and then watch what happens.
I received a notification.
You received it on your device?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
So for this, only work on the device, right?
This will only work on the
Oh
device,
yeah,
Gary.
yeah.
The
Because I was
Android.
trying to send no test device configured. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what mine also says. And once you add here, next time you want to send another message, it will let you choose from any of those that you have added before. So you don't have to add it again and again.
Understand.
Shahrukh, can you share your screen and show the console as well as your phone how you're receiving the messages as you send them?
Sure. So I don't receive a notification when I'm in foreground.
Yes, good point. That we saw last time, that to receive notifications in the foreground, add a function call in the app in the notification center delegate really. Is call that completion handler when a message is received when you are in the foreground. But let's see what if you can show us, at least we'll get a visual on it.
The desktop. What screen am I sharing?
Or we can see your desktop basically.
Okay. So it's now can you see the
Xcode, yes.
code? Yeah. Actually, I have to share my
Safari or
camera.
browser.
I have to on my camera to show the video. Right? You guys can see me?
Yes, yes.
So let me go on Firebase. So here's the phone. Can you guys see the phone?
Huh?
And if I actually it's open right now. So if I go back, I have to select this, and I receive the notification. You guys can see it, right?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Here's the notification. It says first text. Maybe I can have this. No, I cannot see what I'm showing you guys for some reason. But you guys can see the notification that came?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, guys, the idea behind this, see this exercise we did today, it required setting up on the Apple developer website. We have to set up the app ID. We have to associate that app ID, enable push notifications in it. Then we generate a certificate request at our end and we combine it with, you know, download an APNS certificate from the Apple developer website. So these steps allowed us to have a certificate that we could provide to Firebase. And even within Firebase, it has its own entire setup. Create a project, add an app, and go through that plist file and all that. Having done all of that and having set up included the pods for Firebase in our application, we were able to get this token. So now your question, you should have a question, is how do we do it in a real world application? How would this work? Right? So let's look at what that is like.
I get this error. Oh, okay, you can see. But yeah, it says receive failed with error software caused connection abort, but I still received the notification.
In the debug, you're getting a message.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you look into it, Shahrukh? I want
Sure.
to wrap up this topic. So look into it and bring it up next time if you find something or if it is still pending.
Can Hamza, can you receive notification?
We can't hear you, Hamza, if you're speaking. So this is what we did. These were the steps we followed. So basically, we set up some summary here. I've given you the links to the pages that we followed. This is actually a very good one from Google itself. Send the test message. This has all the steps, except for this step, which we relied on that other tutorial for, because we were following a different process. So how does a real world app use this? So take WhatsApp, for example. If you were developing WhatsApp, how would you use it? What is happening is when your app is first run by the user, it will generate, all of the things that happen in the background will happen and it will generate a Firebase registration token. And this you can include in your implementation in the logic wherever it is most appropriate. So, for example, WhatsApp does not do anything until you verify your phone number. In the same way, you may have an app that requires login using a Google account or a Facebook account. So, you don't do any other processing until that step is completed. So, let's say your app requires authentication and you are using Google login. So the user has to log in using their Google account. And as soon as that happens, upon success, you can include this workflow where you say, okay, initialize Firebase, Firebase app and the messaging and all that. And then you will receive this notification. And here you will receive the token. So now you know that the user has an identity, a user ID, their Google ID. However, you might want to create your own IDs to associate with that. And that becomes like a key in your database. And this Firebase token becomes a value, one of the columns. If you have an SQL database, you may have a column called user ID and then lots of other columns. And let's say you have a column called FCM token. So for for each user, you will save the FCM token. And when you want to send a message if there is some activity on your service related to that user, you will invoke this same thing that we were looking at, but you will do it programmatically. So this is just a test message, right? Here. You can include, you can schedule it, you can do lots of different things. And because you have all those things saved, now you can have scripts running in the cloud on your server, which can trigger these messages. There is a way to trigger them through Firebase. So you will tell Firebase, okay, this FCM ID, send this message, that FCM ID, send that message. So if all those things happen like that, that's the idea. That's where we wanted to get to, that we have this ID for saving in some database. Without this, notifications can only be generic. They cannot be personalized. They cannot have a lot more context. So without, user ID and Firebase token, you can send notification, but it will be like, let's say you have a news app and a new news item came out. You don't care who the user is, you just send it to all the users. But if you're working with a messaging app or something that requires identities of users, this is how you will do it. Okay, any questions?
No, everything's good.
Hamza, Harry, how about you?
So for example, if just just go back to in the class, the last class I said, okay, for example, on the Instagram, somebody like my post, I will receive a notification.
Yes.
So that kind of process is it's a push notification, right?
Yes, it is. Very good question. So what has happened is when you installed Instagram on your phone and you logged in,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram has the same workflow going on. They know let's pretend that they are using Firebase. I don't know exactly what they're using, but let's here assume they're using Firebase. So once you log in, Harry has logged in, so they know what Harry's user ID is. And when your app opens, they know what your token is, Firebase token.
Mm-hmm.
So they will tell their server, Harry's Firebase token is this, and the server will keep a record of it. And now Harry closes the app and goes about his day. And then someone else, Sharu, goes and likes a post or comments on it or whatever. Now the Instagram servers, they know Harry's Firebase token is this. So when that activity occurs, they tell Firebase, send a notification to this token we have in our database. So at that point, Firebase will determine is it an Android or an iOS app, because Firebase tokens, here we see one single token, but within Firebase, it keeps track of whether it was an iOS app or a Firebase app or an Android app. So then it determines, okay, Harry's phone is an iOS phone, is an iPhone. So it will talk to Apple and say, here is a notification that you need to deliver to this unique ID, which Firebase stores. Now, it's not your job. When you set up Firebase, Firebase in the background generates those unique IDs that it talks to. They're like phone numbers, unique, one for each device and app combo. And Firebase keeps track of that. So it tells Apple, here is the Apple UUID for this push notification, send this notification. And that's how it comes to your phone. If your
Okay.
phone was Android phone, Firebase would know that this token is attached to an Android phone and that it will follow the Android workflow.
Okay, understand. So for the
Well,
for
what it
this
actually does, it's like it adds tokens. So, there's a cloud function as well. So anytime if you make a post, and usually like this example on Instagram, if I comment on someone's post and some other people comment, sometimes like I receive notification as well that I
Yes.
commented on this person post and their new comments. So what it does, it
So,
just like everyone who commented, it just adds those tokens. So
yes.
and
So
now
that
when it,
is that
yeah,
logic is up to Instagram how it wants to handle it.
yeah.
So Harry, what were you saying? You had another follow-up question.
no, I mean just for this token, it had to be saved on the Instagram their server.
Yes, exactly.
Uh-huh.
In this case, what is happening is Firebase has it allows you to do a lot of things. Firebase has something called Firestore database. You can add a database and you can store it right here. You can develop entire apps. So you can have a Firebase, the Firestore database, and in that you can keep track of who is the user, what is their FCM ID, etc., etc. And you can have cloud functions that are triggered at whatever frequency, at whatever events. All those things are possible. But in Instagram's case, most probably they're running their own servers. They detect activity, who are the people who may be interested in it. They have their all their tokens. They will send all the notifications. Like that, it keeps going.
Understand. So Firebase is basically just a tool to help us to send those notifications. But how
Yes,
we gonna send that is depend on us. Like for
yes,
example, the Instagram they have their server. They decide like how I gonna send those notifications. But the
exactly.
Firebase is just a tool to help you to send those notifications. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you
Firebase.
like even create your own servers, what you can do, every device has a unique device token or ID, right? So in database, you can add that with the user. So that's what you can do with cloud functions as well, or use Firestore, add those and you can keep listening to them. So as soon as
Uh,
ID is added, it will send notification to all those IDs. So you can do
okay.
something like
Yeah, that makes sense. Uh-huh.
So here, Harry, when you get it working, you'll see that you can select multiple devices. And this is just for testing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the live scenario, you basically have it in a database. You retrieve the all the IDs, and at that point, the notification travels because of that ID. That's all it needs to go to the destination.
Mm-hmm. Understand.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hamza, how about you? Everything
Well, I've followed everything, but still I can't connect to my phone. I'll look into that.
okay? Yeah, do connect and try this out because you're pretty close to actually, seeing the notifications on your phone.
Yeah, even I want to try this out as well. Yeah, so I'll just check why it's not detecting.
Okay.
See, I've done that. I even earlier I have run my app in my phone, but I don't know. Let me check again.
Okay. Okay. All right, guys. So we are out of time for today.